Okay.
Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows. Sorry for the funny light tonight. We were going to do this out on the porch tonight after we got kiddos to sleep. But I don't know if you can tell. It is 8:20 here. I'm going to use, can we turn the camera towards the window so they can see? Yep. It's still that light outside. We were going to do this on the front porch, and then the bugs started eating us. So before we even turned the camera on, we moved inside. And this little guy has started growling and crawling over the past couple of days.
Sorry, camera adjustment.
So
there we go. That's a little better.
He really wants to reach that camera.
You really can't have it, bub.
So anyway.
So this is our first official not live stream of the Mark and Sarah show, I guess.
This is our not live stream. So tomorrow we have friends, well, we've got my sister and her friend Tina coming down to make some dinner for us. And Tina is one of our best viewers. Hi, Tina. Say hi, Tina.
Tina got a shout out on Herding Little Cows. Yeah.
So, she's going to be down here tomorrow when we're supposed to do our live stream, and I don't think she necessarily would want to be on the live stream, but if she does, we might do a little quick peek at 2 to say, hey.
We also might have our son and, well, I don't know. I don't know exactly who's coming, I guess. Our son might be coming.
Our son has been staying with us for the last few days because, with some different rules at the hospital and everything, he has not been able to stay overnights in the hospital the last couple days. So he's been sleeping on our floor and then going to the hospital to visit the babies each day.
So our week has kind of been chaotic.
And today we sold him our van. Our van has been really good to us for the past 10 years.
11 plus. We bought it in May of 2009.
So just over 11 years.
It had 92,000 miles on it, and now it's 237,000 miles on it because it has dragged. We bought it actually because we used to live in a camper and work with churches and travel around the country. So that was when we bought it. Was May 2009.
Wait, let's tell the cool story.
Which story?
So we decided we wanted a new camper for a variety of reasons. It's very warm in here.
I'm gonna open the window.
Okay. So So we bought the camper, a small camper that we lived in for a few months. And for various reasons, we decided that we would want a new camper. For those who have watched the shows before, we lost our son Joshua due to reasons not because of a home birth, but we had him in the camper. So that was some hard memories for all of us. And we sold our house. We had bought our camper and moved out on the road. And while we were out on the road, during a housing crash, we sold our house for full price by somebody standing on a snowbank and looking in the window. Yeah. So God is amazing. God sold it just in the right timing. And so we were able to purchase a new camper. Yep. We sold our old camper. So we got to Ohio and parked in my cousin's lawn. And we were staying with them. Right. So we had a 6-seater truck. Right. And a small camper. It was a fifth wheel. So.
It was a 24-foot fifth wheel. So like 18 feet of trailer and a little bunk up above. So not a very big trailer. Like less than 200 square feet. So even if you count it at all.
Yeah. So we sold that camper. It also had some cosmetic issues.
Yeah.
Some issues with it.
That's a nice way of putting it. Structural issues, cosmetic issues.
So anyway, we sold it to somebody as just a camp. Like they were going to go put it up on their camp so they had it. He can go to Big Sister if necessary. We sold it to somebody so they could have it as a camp. They pulled it. They came, took it, pulled it off my cousin's lot. Then we bought a new camper, which was much bigger. It had a slide out. It had a lot more room for us. It was great. It was exactly what we wanted. But it was much heavier than our other camper. And so we pulled it home with our truck, but it was at the top weight of our truck to pull it. And our truck, we didn't even have it loaded. We had an empty trailer that was just at the top weight of what our truck could haul. So we pulled the new camper back to my cousin's house. We then sold the truck. And so we have a camper sitting at my cousin's house and no way to drive our family anywhere. We had to borrow her car one day so we could go to Walmart, which was funny because we actually went to a doctor's appointment and then to Walmart. Right. And we walked out of Walmart and we could not remember what the car looked like at all.
I think that was what led us to the whole put a bunch of Bible verses all over your vehicle and get really tall, really large, high-profile vehicles.
Luckily, she had one of those key fobs, and I don't remember if, we were clicking.
Just running around the parking lot, clicking buttons, hoping the light would go off.
And hoping no one else was headed to the car that they were going off on. So, because it was one of those, we had only actually seen her car sitting in the garage, and when it's sitting in the garage, you know what it looks like, and suddenly when it's in a parking lot full of people, and it was a big Walmart, like we're used to Maine, small town, a all of that. This was like a big parking lot. We didn't know where we parked.
It was in Lima.
I was also really sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really sick, so I wasn't any brains that day.
No.
So, anyway, we used her car for a little bit to do a couple errands, but we were mostly stuck at her house because now we just have a camper and no vehicle.
Right.
And then we asked a local guy who sold vehicles to look for one for us, and he found us this vehicle, which had a wheelchair lift, and they had to remove that. And we had to leave town on
Saturday morning as early as we could would be nice. So
he had all of his workers working on that van Friday evening as the shop closed, and we got it at like 5 o'clock.
Because it came into Ohio from an out-of-state auction in New York, I think it was. So they had to get it bid on, win the bid, whatever it was, get it transported to us. I got there Friday at some point in the day. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I do remember.
There were multiple people.
He said,
working.
We're leaving at 5 o'clock. Normally we're open Saturday, but it's Memorial Day weekend. We're not going to be open Sunday or Monday. So we wanted to get this done for you. So Friday evening, it was really funny when I showed up at 5, like 4:45. There's like 5 guys in the van. They're tearing stuff apart and they're putting stuff in, and they're checking the tire pressure and putting all the interior parts back on, because some of them had the rear entry wheelchair lift that hadn't been used in a while, I guess. Some of the plastic parts needed to be stuck on, all that. But it was really funny. They worked really, really hard at Ken Lugaville Auto Sales in Bluffton, Ohio.
And so that was Memorial Day weekend. We left there Saturday morning with our new van, our new camper, and on our way down the road, because we were going from Bluffton, Ohio, to Richmond, Kentucky. It's not that long of a trip. But on our way there in Dayton, Ohio.
The tire capital of Earth. Dayton, Ohio.
On Memorial Day, the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend, we blew a tire.
Yep.
On the camper.
On the camper, yeah.
On the camper.
So it was a camper tire, so you have to get a truck and trailer tire. It's not just, you can't just walk into AutoZone and get one of these.
So we're on this bridge thing with all this construction.
Yeah, it's normally 4 lanes is down to 2, and we've got a broken down van with a 30-some-odd foot trailer.
Mark was driving at this point.
Yes.
This is when Mark wasn't having problems.
Years ago, yeah.
Mark was driving in a new-to-us van and camper for the first time. Blew a tire. Have to inch our way to the next exit where we get off and pull into a kind of shady parking lot. And this was at what, 5 o'clock at night?
About 5 o'clock Saturday evening. So then we're trying to, everything is just closed.
AAA does not fix camper tires.
Nope.
They only fix on your actual vehicle.
Right. So all of the tire warehouse and the O'Reilly Auto Parts and all those places are closed. Everything's closed.
Going to be closed through Monday.
Right. They won't be back till Tuesday, actually, because they're going to have Monday off too. So yeah. So there we were in the tire capital of the world, and it took us about 3 hours, I think, to actually get someone to get us a tire.
The guy who came was great.
Yeah,
he did it really fast. I don't remember his name, but he was great.
But it was a like interstate truck and trailer specialist. So the guy actually brought the tires, took 2 of our tires off because the other one didn't look too good either, and mounted them on rims right there on his truck. Had the equipment there. That was a huge blessing to be able to have that.
Great. And then we pulled into Richmond, Kentucky, really, really late that night, trying to. It was crazy.
Into a campground that we had never seen before in our lives. And
Kentucky campground.
And our friend was there waiting for us to kind of, hey, this is the spot, and you're going to pull in here, and I already talked to the people and all that stuff. So, yeah, that was our first run with that van, was to go from Ohio to Kentucky for a major gospel effort.
So that van has done us well. The other issue we had with that van, so that wasn't really an issue with the van, that was an issue with the camper. Yep. The other issue with the van is the trip to North Carolina.
There was West Virginia with that van and that camper.
Oh, West Virginia is the story we told you about
the goat trail.
The goat trail that we had to drive, the switchbacks, and the what's it called? The hitch almost fell off.
Yeah, did fall off when I popped it up, and the 2-1/8 ball popped.
So
you're thinking about North Carolina trip, an evangelism conference with National Center for Family Integrated Churches, an evangelism and family.
And what's it called?
Don't ask me now. Jeff Rose.
Jeff Rose's thing. I don't remember the name.
You know what? We have no idea. Jeremiah Cry. Might be Jeremiah
A Call
Cry.
from the Wild is all I could think, and I knew that was it.
It's really late. It's Friday evening. I'm really tired.
It's been
really
a long
warm.
day. We won't go into all the details, but it's been a really long day.
But it's been pretty busy and pretty
It was fun.
change. But so our van is not our van anymore. It's
Hold on, so
weird.
the story going down to North Carolina.
We were going to North Carolina.
I don't remember where we were headed. Like, I remember where we were headed. I don't remember where we were.
Maryland.
But we had pulled off to get gas, and as soon as we got back in, it starts going, and I was like, that's not okay.
That was the exact sound, actually.
It was, wasn't it? I was pretty good at that one.
That was really, really good.
I really usually couldn't do that, but that was the noise. So we pulled over to this little, like, travel center there at the gas station and asked them if they had a couple tools so we could figure out what was going on.
Oh, hold on.
Mark has to take a pill. Don't take it yet.
Don't take it yet. No.
So what was the problem with that? A spark plug? Little spark plug?
Yeah, so it's a V10, a 6.8 liter V10, Triton V10 in a Ford van. So if anybody's into motors, they'd understand that. It's a nice, powerful motor. It's a gas guzzler, but so it has one row of 5 cylinders here at the top of the engine, and another row of 5 cylinders here on that side, and right in between that middle one, the third from either end, the spark plug blew out a part of the head, so it needs a helicoil to put it back in. From what I understand.
So here's what it means. It means you can drive it, but it goes and it makes really bad smell in the car, and it makes your gas mileage really, really bad.
Because that cylinder is firing right, instead of, all the gas that's supposed to go out your exhaust is coming out that hole. So we plugged the hole up, and I burned my hand all up in my forearm.
he burnt his hand all up trying to do it. We pulled down to some other place. I forget. We're trying to call AAA, and that didn't work.
The gas station, we found someone who's like, I know exactly what it is. You spit a spark plug, I think is the way you put it. And he was right. And then, so we went across town to see if we could find a garage or something.
But again, this is like 5:30 at the end of a day, and so nobody's in the garages.
Yeah.
So we found somebody working on his own car in his garage.
Right. And I was like, well, maybe this guy could at least tell me whether, if there's a decent garage around town that might be open tomorrow morning or whatever. So we, I think it was a Thursday evening.
Yeah. I don't remember why we decided we had to continue going, but it seemed like nothing
was
available.
Well, I think we'd talked about going to a hotel, but we had already planned to sleep in the van. But then we were like, can we sleep in the van if it's at a garage? No. So we'll get a hotel and then find a place to fix the van. And then a guy at the garage who was inside his own motor at the time, actually, told him what was going on, and he said, you'll get lousy gas mileage, and it'll probably stink in the cabin, but roll down your windows and go for it. So we did. And we went for it.
We did, and because we were going to be sleeping in the van already, we had lots of blankets and everything. Right. So even it was cold. What month was this?
March? It was March.
March. It was really cold.
4 years ago?
But we were able to open the windows on the van, and we just went with the smell. And all the kids wrapped in blankets, and no one got sick or anything. But it definitely was an uncomfortable trip with the rest of the cold. But we went down there, and the family we were staying with.
What did it sound like? Oh, okay, yeah.
The family we were staying with before we even got there had arranged for us to be able to borrow another vehicle, which was beautiful. There was a family who was selling their vehicle, which was a really, really nice one. And so
gorgeous, loaded Suburban.
So it was
seats
all
like
cleaned and beautiful. Like not like, here, borrow my vehicle. It was ready for sale. So they let us borrow it for a couple days. We were so worried the kids were going to spill something. We didn't let them eat in it.
It was a very nice vehicle, yeah. We didn't let them
let us borrow that vehicle, and the family we were staying with helped us get the car to the garage immediately, and then the church that we actually went to conference at helped pay for the cost of repairs, because we didn't know that those were going to be there. Mark had just gone out of work, or was about, I don't know.
No, I think I was working at the time. I might have been back and forth between work. I probably wasn't working at that point.
So that was a beautiful conference, and we thank the family that let us stay down there. They were very, very nice.
They were sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we should get in touch with them. All these people that we meet, God puts in your path, and they're very kind, and we want to. Yeah.
They opened their house up so much because we were supposed to get there. We were going to go directly to the conference.
Right.
But because we didn't want to sleep in this van that had the smell, we decided to just drive right through. So we called them at like 6:30 in the morning and said, we're going to be there at 8. They weren't expecting us to come back till after the conference that night.
So like 6 o'clock that night is what they were expecting us.
By the time
we barge in the door.
By the time we showed up, she had already finished all her washing for the day, so we could use the washing machine. And they had breakfast ready for us.
That was very sweet.
And let us just stay there the whole day.
Christian hospitality. It's a wonderful thing.
They were wonderful. So anyway, that was good. So that van.
So the van has been through
a lot. It's not gone. It's
us.
Actually still in our driveway.
Samuel is 10. He has never known a time that we didn't own that van. His whole life. Josiah has never known a day that we didn't own.
And our new van is fairly new, so...
It's 2011. The old one is an 02.
when we bought it.
Yeah, we bought it
2 years ago?
2 years ago.
So, like, most of our kids have memories in the gray van. Like,
right.
Lots of memories in the gray van.
Yep.
So, anyway, that's where we are.
That was the first one we ever did with all the Bible verses, though, where we plastered Bible verses all over it. And it's really interesting to watch. It's kind of like a big, like a bulletin board for Jesus running down the highway or sitting in the Walmart parking lot. And a lot of times it starts conversations. And so a friend of ours, we didn't know her at the time, but it was like 4th of July, we met a lady when we were doing evangelism out on the street. And she said, "You must be the people with the van."
We have that a lot.
We hear that a lot. You must be the people with the van.
And
yes,
so
we are the people with the
van.
van.
It's funny because our son, who's 24, who has the twins, is driving the van now. We've sold it to him.
Yep.
And he told us the other night that he has a lot of people that tailgate him using that van. He
We
officially bought it today, but he's used it a couple times.
Right, yeah.
And so he said, people tailgate him. They don't like it.
Yeah.
He pulled over for him twice, he said.
But it starts conversations. So
It does.
anyhow, our friend
It'll
that
be
we met
conversations.
on that 4th of July years ago, she said she was the one that I think coined the phrase eVANgelism, like with the VAN. The van is an evangelism tool. So yeah, it's a rolling billboard for Jesus. And
so
now we have
we
another one that does the same thing. WatchmanGospelSigns.net. Yes, WatchmanGospelSigns.net.
I'm Vanna.
Alrighty then. Must be Friday evening. But WatchmanGospelSigns.net, and he has instructional videos to be able to put your own vinyl signs on. You can put them on the paint. I always put them on the glass because if I mess them up, I can scrape them up with a blade and not.
And if we want to resell the van, they can come off. Like our son could take.
I prefer that they would stay there, but the last vehicle that we had that was plastered up with Bible verses, the guy agreed to buy it as long as I took off all the Bible verses. But that's okay.
He's still a really nice guy. We see him occasionally at the farmer's market because he plays a big standing bass with us group.
Yep.
So I think I met him with him.
Oh.
Our son might be home.
There could be people out there.
Well, there are people out there. So our daughter Naomi is out making cookies for Eliza, who's the new mommy.
Yep.
Making her some cookies to help with breastfeeding. They're called lactation cookies. They are super, super yummy.
I eat lots of them, and I've never lactated. I don't think they work.
But they do work. I had a friend who had not had problems with making extra milk. She was nursing her child, but not making extra milk. And she ate some of these cookies and said she was leaking all over, which if you're a nursing mommy, that is a good thing. So I know you men are like, ugh, what? But it's a good thing. Especially with Eliza. She's got 2 babies to feed. Yep. She needs that extra milk.
You got 2 babies to feed.
And
you
they
need an
taste
awful
really
lot of
good. So when you're
lactating,
sitting in a hospital with nothing else to do, eat some cookies.
Are we going to be embarrassing our grandchildren by talking about them breastfeeding?
You breastfed too? No, you didn't breastfeed.
I didn't. I was born in the 70s. I was born in the 70s, back when
poor child.
They thought that, hey, you know what? We have this great new thing. It's called infant formula, and it's even better than breast milk. What a crock!
So Mark and his brothers
it's
were not
46% corn syrup solids, folks. Like, if you can't produce milk, then I'm glad that there's something that's different. But trying to sell formula as if it's superior to what God designed the woman.
Okay, so we'll make this a breastfeeding video.
I
didn't know what we were going to talk about. So you got our van, and now you're getting breastfeeding. So
bring it on.
Breastfeeding is the way God has designed for babies to eat.
Yep.
The most important thing is for babies to be fed. So please do not hear anything I'm saying to say that you should struggle with breastfeeding to the point that your baby is not nourished well.
No.
That is not what I'm saying.
Sure.
The things I'm going to say, people will say, oh, but this is what you said. I'm in a Facebook argument with somebody right now saying, oh, you said this, and I didn't say that. So
listen to the words coming out of her mouth.
So I am not saying...
Don't put any in there for her, just listen to what's coming.
I am not saying that you should struggle so much that your baby is not getting fed.
Right.
If you need to go to donor breast milk, if you need to go to formula, do whatever you need.
Right.
For my first couple babies, I kept some bottles and formula in the house because I was afraid that if breastfeeding didn't work, I wanted to make sure I had something available to feed the baby. Mm-hmm. Going on from that, we're going to talk about the benefits of breastfeeding.
Yes.
1, breastfeeding is very affordable. I went through the store line the other day and I was talking to this new cashier about all kinds of stuff, and we were discussing food stamps and the new, I don't know, PEBT cards, something about the kids who aren't getting school lunches anymore. There's some food stamp thing you can get with it. I don't know. We were talking about it. And then we were talking about WIC and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And one of the benefits WIC has for people is that it pays for infant formula, which is great. But if you don't have that, infant formula is really, really expensive. Like,
I haven't bought it
expensive.
since Nathaniel was a baby.
We've been able to breastfeed all the other babies.
And now he has babies. So it was a long time ago since the last time I bought it. And I was thinking it was like $27 a can, and we used multiples a week. I was thinking it was about $250 a month we were spending back then.
That's a lot.
I can't imagine it's gotten any cheaper.
So, for those people who want to be able to breastfeed, you need to add calories to your diet so that you can feed your baby well. And you need to make sure that you are drinking enough to keep your body hydrated. I have a problem with that. I'll admit my struggles right now. I'm going to take off my glasses because I feel like they're glaring. I have a problem with drinking enough. I'm a person who is not normally thirsty. What?
You said I have a problem drinking.
I have a problem drinking enough water and juice and those types of things to keep my body hydrated. While I'm saying that, can you go get me some ice water?
Yep.
Haha. There you go. See, that's what you do. You just ask someone else to get it, because otherwise I'll just say, oh, I'll get it later, and then I never get it. So,
Insulated mugs from Sam's Club.
Sam's Club. Yes. For me, cold water helps me to drink, because I do not like warm water. So, making sure that you're drinking enough, and that can include water, it can include juice, it can include herbal teas, milk, all of those things are really good. It does not include drinking coffee, caffeinated tea, energy drinks, those types of things. Some of them are not good for you in the growing baby, like energy drinks. Some of them can have some really bad stuff in them. Soda can have some really bad stuff. Those are not things you should fill your body with. Not saying you can't have it once in a while, but you should not fill your body with that. But coffee and tea, which I do drink coffee every day, but it actually has dehydrating effects. So for every cup of coffee you drink, you should drink at least 1 cup of water to compensate for that on top of the water you're already drinking. But I know a lot of people say you should drink to thirst, and for me, that could mean not drinking for days on end. I really can get to the end of the day having 1 cup of coffee and not feel thirsty at the end of the day. So, make sure you drink. You also, someone wrote to me. Oh, I realized who it was. Someone liked the recipe. I made them the other day. Hi, Sophie. So drinking enough. Also, you need to add calories. You actually need to add more calories for breastfeeding than you need to add while you're pregnant. Your body will give the baby all the nutrition it needs while you're pregnant. Which means that while you're pregnant, you really need to make sure that you keep track of the vitamins and minerals you're eating, because baby will take those out of you. If you're not eating enough calcium, baby's body will take the calcium they need, and it can leave you at risk for osteoporosis and those types of things.
So what are you talking about? Water. It's good for you. Especially when it's 85 degrees in Maine.
It's very warm. I don't know if you can see the sweat rolling off of us, but for Maine, 85 is really, really hot. And it's still like 75 out there.
It is warm, yeah.
Usually, even in the summer, at nighttime, it gets down to 60. And so you actually get like cool at nighttime. I don't know what it is right now. It's very warm. So, Daddy has people writing to him too. I don't know who they are. So, eating. You need to eat more calories. So I can't remember exactly, but I think when you're pregnant, you need to add 300 calories to whatever you would normally eat. So if you have a 2,000 calorie a day diet.
$2,000 a day diet on the next herding of cows.
Then you need to add an extra 300, so 2,300 calories. For breastfeeding, I think it's 500 calories you have to add. So it's actually more for the breastfeeding baby. And that doesn't have to be anything specific, but it has to be nutrient-dense foods. So I'm not saying you have to go eat more liver and onions, but you do need to eat more protein, more whole grains, more fruits and more vegetables. So those do account for an extra cost while you're nursing, but it doesn't cost that much more to add in those calories. And for someone, if you do get WIC, because I mentioned the WIC with the formula before, if you get WIC as a breastfeeding mom, well, if you get WIC as a mom, you get food anyway. But then if you get WIC as a breastfeeding mom, you get extra food. I don't remember what it is, but tuna fish and fruits and vegetables. I don't remember what's specific for a mom or a breastfeeding mom, because there were different things. And if you're breastfeeding twins, you get even more. I know that.
Good.
So, because you need to make extra milk.
Because you're producing a lot more, you need more.
And if you're not breastfeeding on WIC, you still get money, but it's determined by how much formula baby's eating and all that stuff.
Interesting.
And on WIC, you do get baby food once you get to that stage, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So breastfeeding.
Breastfeeding.
Inexpensive. 2, much simpler. And I'm not saying people don't have problems.
Just looking at the camera. Hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
No,
He can't fix it. I'm not saying people don't have problems with breastfeeding, so please don't hear that. He keeps touching my face to try to make the thing work, but it just looks funny.
It just looks funny, yeah.
So I have dealt with mastitis twice, I think, through all of these babies. So I know that I don't have much experience with problems with nursing, but it's definitely something to continue to work through. Talk to a lactation consultant. They're at most hospitals. They're on call, so you can just call them up and ask your question. You can go into the hospital. I know our hospital has a program where you can take your new baby in and weigh them and then feed them and then weigh them again to make sure that they're getting enough milk.
Right, and that's just a free service that they provide to encourage.
Yes, to encourage breastfeeding. And I know there's a lot of hospitals now that are doing more like breastfeeding support group type stuff. We have a crazy loud bird out there. And what was I going to say about the lactation consultant? Oh, and keep working through the problem, because like mastitis is something that will go away in a few days, but you need to get the right treatment for it. You need to be on antibiotics. You get flu-like symptoms, and you need to get that milk out of your breast, which the best way to do that is to nurse your baby more and more and more.
Right.
Make sure when you're breastfeeding that you ask the pharmacist for any drugs you take that they are okay to use while you're breastfeeding, because some medication does transfer through the breast milk. Some transfers a lot, some transfers very little, so it is okay to take, and some doesn't transfer at all. So those are the things. Mark's gonna do something.
Work on it.
He might move the camera. He's got to move the camera. It's okay. I'll scooch over.
He's gonna have to move the camera.
So,
Sorry.
That's okay. You need to plug in. None of us thought about doing the video earlier.
Plug it in. Alright, let's see if we can get... Let me sit back here.
So, Mama's, drink your water. Okay, so, if we're not talking about the issues where breastfeeding can be painful, breastfeeding is a very enjoyable experience. And breastfeeding, unless you're dealing with like mastitis, or you have a child who has a tongue tie,
which we've had.
Which I have had a child. Mine, I didn't have problems with nursing, but some people really do. If your baby has a problem with their latch, all of those can cause pain. Talk to your lactation consultant. They can help you figure out what that problem is. If it's a latching problem, they'll help you learn how to latch the baby on correctly. If it's a tongue tie, they will refer you to the right doctor. And I have not had to have any of our babies have their tongue ties clipped, but I have had friends that have had their babies, and some of them have had immediate results where baby is able to latch on without hurting at all, like without mom hurting at all. So it actually can be very, very beneficial. And if you have mastitis, you have to work through it, and you have to get it out of your breast anyway, so it's best to keep nursing because the baby does. So it's really easy in the fact that you don't have to wash bottles. You don't have to do the whole pumping and then washing out the pumping supplies. Because if you are nursing a baby, like if one of my babies is hungry, I pick up my baby, I latch them on, and I go about doing what I'm doing, usually sitting in a chair, but go about, instructing the kids, reading books, whatever is going on.
Life doesn't stop
while I'm nursing the baby.
Right.
And that takes a little work as a first-time mom. So if you know other moms, ask them. I would love to be able to sit and help a new mom figure out how to do this nursing thing, because it is difficult when you're first doing it. But once you get the hang of it, you can do a lot. I can eat a whole meal while nursing a baby.
And we never have to carry bottles with us or wash them.
So when a baby who's bottle fed wants to eat, if you're just giving formula, you have to go warm up the water and fill the bottle and do all of that. Feed the baby, and then when it's done, you have to go wash the bottle and wash the equipment and everything. If you're pumping, which is great, my sister actually pumped for a long time. I don't know, 8 months or something. She had her little boy in the summer and then went back to work as a school teacher, and so she pumped so that he'd have milk at work. And so kudos to my sister Holly, because that is a lot of work. But that was what she had. She's a single mom, so that was the option she had. And I have another friend who has tried nursing, and it just has not worked. And she pumps exclusively for her baby, and then needs to do all the cleaning of the supplies and everything. And good job, Stacy. That's a really hard thing, and that's what's best for your baby. So I'm glad that you're doing that for him. But if you she'll tell you if she had the ability to nurse, she would do it because it is much simpler than doing the pumps, feeding the baby, and then washing all the supplies. So, convenience. When you go out, when we go out with the kids, all I have to remember is to take diapers. And keep a change of clothes in the car, because Malachi has learned this new trick that you put him in the car seat and he learns how to poop up his back. It happens every time he's in the car seat, which luckily right now, because the coronavirus, is not very often. But when we do go out,
when we do, there is a mess.
it is probably 90% of the time.
We have washed that car seat liner so many times, I think we could take it apart and put it together blindfolded. But we've actually put in a cloth diaper underneath him as kind of a preventive barrier mechanism
So somehow,
recently, just because it's become so common.
It's just his thing.
Right up the neck. I don't know if it's the incline of the seat. Like
or the jostling in the car, but something makes him poop.
Got a little motion.
So anyway.
Yeah.
And if he ever gets stopped up, we can just go on a ride in the car.
That's right.
But anyway, for us, I keep a box in the car that has a change of clothes for Malachi and for Uriah and some diapers in it. And so we can just go, and I don't have to worry about food for Malachi because it's on me all the time. Always the right temperature. What are the other good things about breastfeeding for mama?
Doesn't cost anything.
Mark's all about the money. Okay, and so the benefits
for mama? I don't know. I'm not a mama. For daddy? I don't get to feed the baby. Okay, I don't get to feed the baby. But that's okay, because I get to snuggle babies a lot and hug babies a lot and play with them a lot. And
yes, if you are a nursing mom, make sure that you're giving daddy time to actually spend with the babies too, because it is a lot of time that you're taking to nurse the baby, and daddies want their baby too.
Yeah.
So there are other jobs dads can do though when mom's nursing, because those babies still need to be changed multiple times a day. Babies still need to be burped. Babies still need to be rocked to sleep.
Most of the time, other children are also needing help. So yeah. Parenting is a team effort.
Exactly.
It's a two-way street, and it's not 50-50. It's 100-100, and as it is in marriage. Yeah. You both have to be completely committed to something if you're going to do it well.
So I didn't look up all the benefits for this. Like, these are all things off the top of my head because I've been nursing for so long and researching nursing for so long. But
sorry.
But these are things I'm just going to tell you are really good. So baby, when they're first born, your body is producing colostrum, which is very important for the baby's immune system.
Superfood.
It is superfood. It is the first milk that you will make. It's kind of a creamy, yellowy substance. So
pure brain-building, awesome baby-making.
So some people think that
awesome
first, the colostrum that's coming out of the breast isn't good for babies. And there was actually a time in history where they told women that they should get it off and not feed the baby any of that.
It's the best thing you could ever give them.
If you're not able, for some reason you're not going to be able to sustain breastfeeding your baby, giving your baby that colostrum is number one. If you can just nurse for the first 2 days at the hospital, baby's belly is like this big when they're first born.
It's pretty small.
Very, very small. And so they need very little milk. They won't nurse for super long periods of time. Their nursing at the start is to get that little bit of colostrum. You don't make very much of it, but it's to get that little colostrum, and it's to get your body pumped for, it's saying something. Our thing just said something. I don't know.
It's saying this is a really big file because normally we do this live stream and we're recording it, and I don't think we've ever recorded a 33-minute video.
Okay, well, I still have more to say. Can I keep talking?
You can keep talking. It will probably file it as a second video, and I'll just have to piece it together.
Okay, so we're hoping this
goes together. Or we might
together.
post it as part 1, part 2, and just get it over with.
So if we're on part 2 of the video, we're talking about colostrum and feeding your baby at the hospital. If all you're going to be able to do, maybe you're a mom who's giving your baby up for adoption, or maybe you're a mom who knows you're going to need a surgery soon after, and you know that breastfeeding isn't going to be something you're going to be able to sustain. Try to get your baby that colostrum those first couple days. It is great for the bonding experience and the hormones for mom. It really helps level your hormones after pregnancy and that bonding with your baby. It's just an amazing, amazing experience. I can't tell you how amazing breastfeeding is. Like, Mark has watched me breastfeed all the babies, and I still can't explain to him what amazingness the breastfeeding is. Not saying you can't bond with your baby if you don't breastfeed. I'm not saying that. But the chemicals that God has put in your body to
be released by that certain mechanism that the symbiotic relationship of, even moms being able to regulate baby's heartbeat and breathing and all this kind of stuff. It's just like God has made the human bodies in that specific way to work together in this beautiful thing.
So you want to know how cool babies are?
Pretty awesome.
Okay, so when a baby is born, I saw videos of this, like lots of videos of this, and this was confirmed by the doctor, the midwife. When babies are born, if you take the baby out from between mom's legs, lay baby on mom's stomach, baby, as a infant, like just came out of the womb, will crawl their way up to mom's nipple to breastfeed.
They will get there.
That is their survival instinct, is I need to find the food. That is what God has put inside them.
You ever seen salmon swim upstream to try to get to the nesting grounds where they lay their eggs? It's similar. God has put such really unique and amazing and complex things in people's bodies. And babies have awesome abilities.
And the amniotic fluid is similar in smell to breast milk, the colostrum stuff. And so babies actually can smell that on their hands. We watched a video in my pregnancy class where they wiped the baby down after mom had them, but left the baby's hands, and they put the baby on the mom's belly.
That's cool.
And baby crawled their way up and then would like stop and like sniff their hands and then crawl further. It was very cool.
It's like a dog on a trail. It's like, I know the scent.
Let's find it.
It's mom. It's mom.
It was so
I
cool.
need mom.
So anyway, babies are amazing.
Yeah.
So baby will
Women
actually...
are amazing. Men don't get to do any of this stuff. We get to sit and watch and try to appreciate it as best we can. And I just marvel not only at God, but marvel at our wives. Because they're pretty amazing people. So men don't get all this fun. You guys are really cool.
So babies will find the breast by themselves. It's really amazing. And so that bonding experience is really important between mommy and baby. It's saying something, changing and increasing something. I don't know. It puts up this little sign and then it goes away.
There's a little sign.
It had a little sign.
Sorry.
So you gotta watch. So if it does it again.
All right, I'm gonna watch the... If I watch myself, I get not feeling well.
Don't watch me. Watch me on there.
Okay, I'm gonna watch her.
Okay. So anyway, the bonding experience is amazing, and you can do it without being able to breastfeed. I'm not saying that, but it is definitely harder. I was just talking to a new mama today, and she was saying how the hormones and stuff that are released during a vaginal birth are different than the C-section birth, and it definitely is a bonding difference.
Yep.
So make sure that if for some reason you do need to have a C-section, and C-sections can be amazing because it's for the safety of your baby. So don't think I didn't really birth a baby because I had a C-section. It's kind of like formula.
Yeah.
Breast milk is best, but a baby needs to be fed.
Safe, healthy babies is better than...
And there's a lot of benefits to having a vaginal birth, but a healthy baby is the most important. And we have never had to do a C-section, but I know friends who have had to have a C-section for various reasons, and I am glad that that mother and baby were able to have that available.
Definitely.
So, going on. We were talking
There's a lot of disclaimers in this video.
I don't want anyone to hear...
I'm not saying this and I'm not saying this.
Yeah.
It just, it reminds me that as a culture, we're so easily offended. People say things and we think we know what they meant by what they said or what they were really trying to get at. If we just listen to each other once in a while and said, I'm just going to evaluate what you said on what you actually said, not what I thought you maybe meant by it, but like...
I also find because
we just want to be cautious.
A face on the screen, we have a tendency to say, like, the Duggars. We used to watch the Duggars. And there were some people that were so convinced that if they just did exactly what the Duggars did, their lives would be great. So I don't want anyone to hear from my video, like, I get up and I eat at 8 o'clock. Oh, I have to eat at 8 o'clock because that's what Sarah does. We need to... That's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to tell you how we live our lives.
Right.
And the things that I've researched, like this stuff I'm telling you about breastfeeding stuff, is stuff that I've witnessed in my own children and through the research that I've done, but I'm not saying this is the only way, that if you do it a different way, I'm going to judge you or anything. I have many lovely mamas that I know that, like the one that I was mentioning that pumps exclusively for her baby. I know mamas who exclusively do breast milk for various reasons. I know mamas who get donated milk, and I've actually donated milk to mamas. So there's all these different things. So please don't hear me say that you're
People
doing
are
it
in
wrong.
a lot of situations that, and many of which are beyond their control.
Yeah.
Or something happened outside of them entirely. But people are in different situations for different reasons. Recording with you. Oh. I missed it again.
And I specifically, we may have to do this whole part of the video again. I specifically have told a mama on chat that feeding her baby is best, and if that means formula, go ahead and do it, because she had a very rough delivery, and then baby got transferred to a different hospital in NICU, and she was feeling bad that she wasn't nursing, and her body just wasn't producing milk because all the hormone stuff that goes on, her body was so stressed from everything that had happened that her body wasn't producing milk, and her baby was going to starve if she wasn't feeding them with formula. So she had to. It wasn't something that she had to feel bad about, because she was doing what was best for her baby. So
I'm gonna shut this off for just a second and start it over to make sure we didn't lose anything.
Okay, so we're here for some more rambling. I don't know if this is part 2, part 3, or what. So we were just talking about the benefits of nursing for baby and that bonding experience. But again, please hear me say, Mark's trying to cool off the room. We have the fan off so that it's quiet enough. And Mark is going to step out, but he's bringing me some more water. Or someone's bringing me water. So anyway, breastfeeding. Please hear me say that breastfeeding is what I have seen is easiest, best, and everything. And from my research, I've seen is best, but it is important for baby to eat. So just because I say breastfeeding is best does not mean that it's wrong for somebody to formula feed. I saw a friend talking about this on Facebook because someone said breast is best, and everyone else was like, don't say that because you're belittling people. But if we are saying that breast isn't best, we're saying that God's design for how to feed a baby was not the best way, and it's never okay to say that. So while I think that breast milk is best and God made it in the perfect way, thank you. She's trying to sneak out. You can shut the door now. Because I'm saying that God made it in the perfect way and it's the most complete food that you can give a baby, it's not saying that you are bad or evil if you don't breastfeed your baby. So hold on, I'm just moving a little bit. It's warm in here. But breast milk is very complete. Baby does not need anything else. I actually almost exclusively nursed Josiah till 18 months. Josiah, as some of you know who have watched the channel, is almost 8 years old, and he has cerebral palsy, and he also has seizures. We also found out later that he has a tongue tie. So we should have had problems nursing, but we didn't. But when it came time to introduce a cup and it came time to introduce food, Josiah could not eat and could not drink. He could not get anything out of a sippy cup. And when we would give him food, he would gag on it. So we did food therapy, like part of his physical therapy we were doing, but he still could not figure out how to eat. So he would get maybe 1 or 2 bites of food in a day, like 1 or 2 bites, like a baby spoon bite. So that was not any way sustaining him. And I nursed him till 18 months. And at 18 months, we figured out that he did not have control over the left side of his face. And so we figured out that if we put food in the right side of his mouth, he could swallow it. But it had to be in a very specific spot. If it was in the middle of his mouth or to the left side, he would gag because his tongue didn't know how to move to put the food, to be able to swallow the food correctly. So breast milk is really good because he grew on the growth chart just exactly as he should. He stayed right on his normal curve, even to 18 months without any other formula, without any other food. So people who say that you have to start food early so that baby will grow correctly are not correct in that thinking. You can breastfeed your baby all the way through. Another misconception that I want to clear up is your body will produce enough milk for your baby most of the time. Now, you need to work with somebody to see how this would really work if you think your baby's not getting enough food. But you can usually tell your baby is getting enough breast milk by watching how many wet diapers and how many poopy diapers they have a day. When you go to the hospital to have a baby, they will give you a chart that says on the first day, baby should have this many wet diapers, this many poopy diapers, and it increases each day how many they should have. If your baby is having that many wet diapers, your baby is getting enough breast milk. It's how their body cycles through. It goes through them really, really fast. That is good. They're supposed to be getting that milk really fast because it's easily digestible. It's so much easier for your baby to digest that than to digest the infant formula. So your baby should be eating a lot. Like you should feel like you are always nursing your baby. Oh, my baby's asleep. So you should feel like you're always nursing your baby. So you should, like in those early days, it should feel like all you're doing is nursing, because your baby's belly is really, really tiny and they do need to nurse that much. Oh, he found a camera. He's like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm with my mama and a camera. So it's going to feel like you're nursing a lot, and that's okay. But where was I going with that? It's a complete meal, and you should be nursing a lot, and it's all your baby needs. Oh, you don't, your body will produce the amount of milk your baby needs because your baby is latched on and eating. If your baby has a proper latch, which I said earlier about working with lactation consultant, if your baby has a proper latch, your body will be triggered to make more milk. When you make milk, you will have what's called letdown, where your body will suddenly, the milk will fill your breast and your baby will get what they need. That letdown's different for everybody. It's a little bit different. The size, I'm going to talk about a whole lot of things right here. So the size of your breast does not compare with how much milk you make. The milk is made in a duct inside your breast. It doesn't matter. The milk is not stored in your breast. So someone who has small breasts don't have small containers of milk. Your body creates the milk as it needs. But if you are a pregnant mom, your breasts will get bigger as pregnancy goes on. No matter what size they start as, they will get bigger because they're there to feed your baby. Okay. So, but what I was going to say is, I know some women who have stopped breastfeeding because they feel that their body is not making enough milk. And the way that they're finding that out, or what they think is finding that out, is they nurse their baby and then they pump so that they can have some extra for the freezer or whatever the situation is. The problem is pumps do not do the same work on your body that a human baby does when they nurse. I have been able to feed all of my babies till over a year old, some of them exclusively to a year, and like I said with Josiah, 18 months. And I cannot use a pump. If I use a breast pump, I am lucky to get 1 ounce of milk. But my babies have all been very well fed. My babies, most of them are on the like 99th percentile for height and weight. I have large children, exclusively breastfed, and I cannot get any milk out by pump. So the problem is, a woman will nurse her baby and then afterwards pump a little bit. But the thing is, your body has already created the milk that it needs to for your baby and their size of stomach at that time of feeding. Your body will produce more as your baby gets older. But let's say on day 5, let's say your milk's come in, you're starting an established breastfeeding. On day 5, your baby's belly is very small. You feed your baby till they're full, and then you decide you want to pump. You pump and you're only able, let's say you get out 1 ounce. That doesn't mean that your body is lacking in making milk because your baby has already had a full feeding. So if you've already fed your baby, you shouldn't be able to pump out much milk because your baby's already taken what they need. It's like saying, I made dinner for our family of 4, and when we were done, I only had a half cup of rice left. Well, that's good because your family already ate, they were already fed. You don't need to have a whole lot of leftovers because when it comes time for the next meal, you're not going to give them the half cup of rice. You're going to make them another meal. And that's what happens with breastfeeding. You make another meal when the baby's hungry again. That sucking that they do after a minute or 2, there's a letdown, and then baby will start drinking the milk that your body's making. So you don't need to have a lot of extra. If you want to pump and get that little bit of milk, that little extra milk to put in the freezer so you have it for a day that you're sick or a day you might have to be away from the baby, that's fine. And there's actually, I don't know the name of it, but there's actually these new things they sell that when you're nursing, you put this little cup, I guess you'd call it, on the other breast. I don't have one. But you take one and you put it on the other breast, and when that letdown happens, it collects the little bit of milk that leaks out of the other breast from the opposite of the breast you're feeding on. It'll collect that little bit of milk and you can use that to put in the freezer. But I know some moms who gave up breastfeeding because they felt their body was not making enough because they were not pumping enough. But the thing is, your body's not meant to produce milk for the pump. So then you think, uh-oh, I'm broken because my body's not producing right now. But your body's not meant to produce them. That's not how God did it. So if you just feed your baby at each feeding that they're hungry, your body will continue making an increase in milk. And when your body, let's say on day, because we said day 5 here, let's say on day 20, your baby's bigger, their belly's bigger, your body's going to be producing more milk. I don't know the measurements. I don't know if at day 5 they're eating 1 ounce and at day 20 they're eating 2 ounces. I don't know that measurement, but your body does, and it will make it. When baby's extra hungry because they're going through a growth spurt, or if baby's sick, your body is going to make your milk differently according to your baby's needs. So please don't give up breastfeeding because you think, I don't make enough milk because I don't pump well. Because I don't pump well. Another amazing thing about breastfeeding is your body will produce sorry, it gave me another little sign. Your body will produce the antibodies your baby needs for any sickness that you guys encounter. So right now with this COVID-19 thing going on, your body is making extra special milk for your baby at this moment with whatever you've been exposed to. If you have been exposed to a cold, your body is going to start making milk that's going to help your baby not catch cold. It's the same theory behind someone having their own milk cow. And so when you have a milk cow that you're using by hand to milk, this is why people on farms didn't used to get sick very often. I know there were illnesses, not saying that, but let's say dad goes out to milk the cow, and he's milking the cow, and he's been exposed to a cold, and he has those cold germs on him, on his hands. Those cold germs are transferred to the cow by the hand, and the cow starts making antibodies. I know that sounds weird, but the thing that happens with babies, your body's germs and your baby's germs work together to cause your body to make the right breast milk for your baby. I know that sounds strange, but your baby is getting the perfect milk. If I were to give milk right now to another baby, that would be good for them, but it wouldn't be helping them fight off the exact illness that they'd be needing to deal with at that time. We have had illnesses go through our home, and we've had times where everyone else in the house gets sick except the baby because I'm nursing. And breast milk is actually used by older people in like really bad like cancer treatment places, not bad ones, but like in places where they're dealing with very like near death people or very, very sick, like ICU patient type things. They have used breast milk in different times for like older pediatric patients because breast milk is so easy to digest and has all the right nutrition in it. So again, please don't nurse because you think that your body's not making enough milk. Your body will. If you feel like you're not making enough milk, do more skin to skin. I'll explain that in a minute. Make sure you're drinking enough, and make sure you're just feeding baby anytime they look the least bit hungry. Because if baby's like going through a growth spurt, you might have fed yesterday every 3 hours, and today baby wants to eat every 2 hours. That's okay. That is going to be priming your body. Hi. It's going to be priming your body to make the milk that your baby needs. Mark's coming in and slamming doors. So, yes, about the breast milk. It's good. So it's saying my phone might get hot because I'm gonna unplug it for right now. Okay. So the breastfeeding is best for your baby. Oh, skin to skin. That's what I was gonna get to. When I first have a baby, and then anytime someone is sick, when the baby is probably 6 months or younger, anytime someone in the household is sick, which didn't happen much this time because with coronavirus, we've been stuck in the house a lot. But if someone was sick, I would take the baby, I would, in the piece of my own bedroom, I would take off my clothes, and I would take off all baby's clothes except their diaper, and I would put them right next to me, and then I would put a sling around so that I could wear baby immediately skin to skin. And then I would wear one of my husband's big button-up shirts over the top, and I actually have a couple now that I've taken that are just mine, so that when baby's sick, I can get as much skin-to-skin time as possible. Because baby, especially when they're newborn, is using the cues off mom and dad, whoever baby's with, to regulate their breathing, their heart rate, and their temperature. So if you can have baby right up next to your skin, it helps their body to subconsciously remember to breathe, to beat the heart. All those things that we don't actually think about, but your body has to do every, few seconds. All of those things can be regulated by mom or dad. And so that's why they say that kangaroo care, that's what they call it, skin to skin, with really early babies is really, really important, because you are helping the baby's body to not be expending calories on doing those tasks of remembering to breathe and keeping the temperature up. Like if you hold your baby against you and you're already 98.6 degrees, your baby's body doesn't have to work very hard to keep that 98.6 degrees because you're keeping them warm. And your breathing up and down is showing their body the breathing. So they're not expending those calories, and they're able to use their calories to grow and to get stronger and be able to leave the hospital sooner, which is what we're hoping for Joshua and Madeline. So that skin to skin is really important. And so I do it a lot, just even during the day, the first couple weeks baby's born. But also if anyone's sick in the house, mommy takes time to just make sure baby gets as much skin to skin as possible. The other thing about when babies are first born, take the time to heal. I didn't realize this was my first, and I went out to eat 2 days after the baby was born, and we just went and did all of our stuff. But our bodies have just been through so much trauma, but trauma in a good way. I'm still just yapping. It's been through so much trauma. It's good trauma. It's stuff that God has wanted our bodies to do. I unplugged it because it said something about being hot. It said if it's plugged in, it can increase the temperature or something.
Oh, okay.
So, no, that's okay. I actually got to read it that time, though, so I was telling you.
Makes sense.
So, we went right out after first baby was born, and we went running around. But as I've had more babies, I realized my body has been through so much that I need to let my body recover. All those stomach muscles that have been stretched out all those months need time to go back to place. Your uterus needs time to shrink back to where it was. Your pelvic floor needs time from all of that stretching to get back to where it was. And the best way you can do that is to rest. Give yourself as much rest as you can those first 6 weeks. So now, the last couple babies that we've had, I stay at the hospital for the 2 days that I have to. There's other videos that talk about this, but we had a son who died from group B strep infection. And so all of our babies now stay at the hospital for 48 hours, or close to 48 hours, to be able to be monitored for that, even though I get the antibiotics during labor. But after I come home, I spend most of that first 6 weeks sitting in a recliner. I move from my bed in the morning, I go into the recliner in the living room, and I sit in the recliner all day long, and I get up to use the bathroom or take a shower, and otherwise I'm sitting in that recliner. I eat in that recliner. I nurse baby in that recliner. If I'm going to take a nap, I'll come lay back down in the bed, because one thing you don't want to do is take naps with babies in the recliner. You can't keep them safe necessarily from falling down off the recliner or down into you where they can't breathe. But I spent my time in the recliner, and I could read books to the other kids. I could continue school. I could do all of these things, but I was able to rest my body. I took naps. We just planned really, really easy meals. If you have friends or church members who would be willing to bring you meals, just ask people to do that. And please, if you're watching this video and you are not a mom, look for moms in your area. Moms that have just had babies really need meals because they need that time to lay down and rest. Moms who have babies, moms who have 10-year-olds, moms who have 12-year-olds, offer them a meal. It really could bless a mama's heart today for you to call up and be like, I was just thinking about you and thought maybe you could use a meal today, so you could use that time to do something else. Really could be a real blessing to somebody. But those first couple weeks, we use paper plates. I have older kids now, but if I had to do this when I had younger kids, I would have frozen meals ahead of time, which I did some of that meal prep before these last couple babies. Ask people to come play games with the other kids. It's really nice to be able to visit with other friends. I know with coronavirus going on right now, this isn't happening, but I mean, have another friend who comes over and says, hey, can you sit down and play Uno on the floor with the kids? Give them something to do. Just take that time to rest your body, because it's so important that you do that. So anyway, that got off the breastfeeding thing. But if you do that and you spend those first 6 weeks resting, you also spend that first 6 weeks on what I've heard called a baby moon, where you just have time to enjoy your baby. You have time to snuggle. You have time to look at them and just enjoy all that little precious newborn time, because it goes really, really quick. This guy's 8 months old, and he learned how to crawl today. So this snuggle time is not going to be happening as much. It happens while he's sleeping. But breastfeeding is just an amazing, amazing experience that I can't explain to somebody who hasn't done it. And I think that as a culture, as a society, we should reach out and try to show every woman as much as we can support in doing it. Again, not saying that bottle feeding is wrong, but I get so many kind of awkward looks when people see me nursing in public, and I don't mind. I've just gotten over it and decided that my baby needs to eat, and I'm going to feed my baby where I'm going to feed my baby. I stay covered. That would be a whole nother video of modesty in breastfeeding and everything. But my baby needs to eat. I'm not going to leave every activity to help you feel comfortable, because when you want to eat, you don't leave an activity. My baby can eat and I can carry on a conversation. And I've actually had times where I've been nursing a baby, and when I stop nursing, I stop nursing, and so I'll put the baby down and I'll, fix my undergarments and stuff, and I'll have someone say, oh, are you going to nurse the baby? And it's like, no, I already did. And I've actually been able to share some of these tips with other moms, and I've seen other moms who have been able to nurse somewhere, in the back of a conference, or in a church service, or just in their own house, feeling comfortable being in front of, maybe visitors they might have. And so that's been a real blessing to be able to see that, and see moms to be able to carry on with their day, because babies are precious, and babies should not make us feel like we're missing out on life and somehow not able to participate in the world around us. And especially within churches, we should not be making moms feel like they are lesser than, when they are doing one of the most important jobs that God's asked any of us to do in ministry, is taking care of their own family and trying to grow the kingdom of God through the children that God has given them, being willing to take those blessings and being willing to do the work of those blessings. And then we go into churches and people will say, there's a nursing room in the back. It's back there behind, the closet, we put you back there so you'd feel more comfortable. I'm sorry, but that doesn't make me feel more comfortable. That makes me feel like you don't want me around and you don't want my baby around. So that's a pet peeve of mine. As church members, we should be encouraging moms from the very start to be loving their baby, to be nourishing and feeding their baby, and to be instructing their baby in the ways of the Lord. And they're not going to be able to do that when you stick them in a back closet and expect the baby to not be seen and heard. So there's my rant for tonight. So if you know somebody who has a baby, please be supportive of them in their breastfeeding. Please see how you can help them. And if you know a mom, whether it be a new mom or an older mom, offer to take them a meal. Offer to come over and play with their other kids so mom can get those 6 weeks of rest afterwards. You don't have to do all the days of the 6 weeks. But if you offered 2 or 3 days during that 6 weeks to come over and play with the kids, or to vacuum her floor or something like that, we could all help moms be better moms if we were to all work together. So that's my rant for tonight, and we will see you guys next time on Herding Little Cows.